Hi y'all, if you are a returning viewer, welcome back. If you are new, welcome. My name is Amira, and today guys, we are going to be talking all about my favorite products that I tried in 2024. This is a doozy of a video. It's going to go a little long, so grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's get to it. Alright guys, so I have my list. I made my list on my phone here. I curated it. I was like, I thought about it. I'm ready to go. So let's start off by talking about base products. So first I want to talk about, let me preface this by saying I am not a primer girly. I don't generally wear primer. Usually what I am wearing underneath my foundation is my sunscreen. And I found that sunscreen works very well as a primer, especially if you're looking for something that's a bit moisturizing. And they have, sunscreens that work really well as blurring products. So I generally stick to my sunscreen, and I do have a sunscreen that I'm going to talk about, but I wanted to talk about a primer because this one stuck out for me because again, I don't usually wear primers. But the one that stuck out for me and that really came in clutch for me this past summer was the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Water Powder Serum. And so this is one of those sort of like, I don't know if I would call it biphase. You are supposed to let it mix together by turning it upside down, and then you tap it here. You don't have to shake it or anything. You tap it here and the drops come out, and then you apply those to your face. And it's supposed to be sort of like a serum, a mattifying serum. I actually don't think it's super mattifying in the way that it's not going to give you that sort of like flat, no dimension look that, old school matte products and primers would do. For me, what I found this to work best as is almost like, kind of like the Milk Gripping Primer, but less sticky. And it allows more of the product that you're applying on top of your skin to be its original formulation. So if I put this on and I put it on under a natural finish foundation, it doesn't mattify that. What it kind of does is sort of keep it from getting super dewy or moving all around or letting too many of my oils to come through. I do have oil that still comes through. I don't think if you're looking for something that's like matte, this is not going to be that for you. I know some people, I remember when I first talked about this, there were people in my comments who were a bit underwhelmed by it because they have super oily skin and they just didn't feel like it worked for them. I used to have extremely oily skin. I do not anymore. My skin is more normal to oily, so it really just sort of depends on the season. And because of that, I think if your skin is like mine, if you have similar skin type of, your oils can come through a little bit, but you're not someone who gets overly greasy. Like, okay, take my face now. I'm filming this video after work. This is after a 10-hour workday. I have not repowdered or done anything to my face. I literally just reapplied my lipstick and sat down in front of the camera. So this is what my skin looks like with no powder being applied. As you can see, it's not super duper oily. I've got a little bit of glow, but it's not crazy. So if your skin is similar to mine, I think this will be a great option, specifically if you're in super humid, warm temps. This is what I use that for. wouldn't reach for this now in November when I'm filming this. It's not the type of look that I'm going for, feeling that I'm going for. I tend to want more hydration during the colder season. So this is great for summer and for humid, warm temps. Next up, I am going to actually talk about a sunscreen. And I think it was in spring of this year, I purchased one of the Sephora sets. You know how they have the sort of sets of lots of minis, and then they'll give you like a full size of one thing, and you can they give you a coupon and you can use that as a discount for one of the full size items. I tried pretty much everything in that little kit, and I wasn't that impressed or whelmed by most of the products. I tend to wear Korean skincare when it comes to sunscreens. That's what I reach for. In fact, I just placed a huge Yes Style order of sunscreens because I'm stocking up before those tariffs come into play. Girl had to get her order in. So I like just made a big order, and that's what I tend to wear most of the time. So I wasn't really impressed by most of the sunscreens in that kit, except for one. And this is the one that I tried last. And I tried it because I had run out of my sunscreen. My new sunscreen hadn't come, and I was just like, oh, I need something. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna make this work. What, you know, and I just had this, I had this preconceived notion that I wasn't gonna like it. So I was just like, we'll just make do. And that is the Saint Jane Luxury Skin Ritual Pore Smoothing SPF 30 sunscreen. Guys, I'm actually wearing this today, and I think I tend to like to wear this with, sort of similar to how I use the Danessa Myricks water powder serum, is I tend to wear this with more dewy foundations because it is pore smoothing, but it also says here that it is great for giving visibly smooth skin. It is blurring, which I would say, but what I do find is that because it is basically a mineral sunscreen, and I'm not really a mineral sunscreen person, not generally, because there's almost always a cast. And this one, I would say it has a cast because, and I'll show you, I'm almost done with this one, and I'm actually sad, and I might repurchase this, even though I just ordered a bunch of sunscreens. But I really like this one, and I do like this aspect of it. I'm just going to take a little bit out of my hand, and I don't know if you can see that, but it's tinted. It's got a bit of a tint to it, and because it has that tint, it keeps it from being too like, I don't get a lot of white cast from it, is what I'm trying to say. And so it looks really natural, and you can see here it looks really natural on the skin. It is really smoothing. I wouldn't say it's blurring, but I do feel like it's smoothing, and it doesn't irritate the skin, and it just gives a beautiful finish. And I actually really like wearing this on its, I can wear this on its own, which usually with a mineral sunscreen, if I'm going to wear one, I'm applying it under something because of the white cast issue. But with this one, I feel confident wearing it on its own. I will say, be careful about application. Don't over apply. When I usually do 2 fingers length worth, and that's more than enough for my face because I have a small face. But if I were to like over apply, I probably would get a white cast. But I just love the way this looks on the skin, and I was shocked, I tell you, by it. And it's one of those products that I'm like, would I repurchase this? And it's not cheap. It's not a cheap product. But I think it's actually worth the money, and I would repurchase this. I think it's great. Next up, let's talk foundations. So I didn't try as many foundations this year as I normally would in a regular year. I tend to love to try foundations. It's one of my favorite makeup products to try and test out. But the ones that I did try out, I had a few misses, but I'm actually surprised to say that the majority of the ones that I tried, I really, really liked. So let's start off with the About Face Beauty foundation. And I had to go back. I was like, was this released this year? But it was released at the very beginning of this year. And I have it in 3 shades because they have a very large shade range, and I can kind of flex back and forth with certain shades depending on the season. And so today I'm actually wearing a combo of these 2. So this is M2 Olive, which is a tad too light for me, but it's the perfect undertone. And then I have MD1 Neutral, which is a tad too deep for me, but has a neutral undertone. So it's sort of like these kind of work in tandem. And then I have another shade that works as well. But this is like, I was shocked at how much I liked this foundation. And like I said, I'm wearing it right now, and it's lasted all day. I'm happy with the finish of it. It's not dewy. It's not, but it's not matte flat. It's got this satin finish to it that can lean dewy if you have oily skin. So if you're prone to your oils breaking through, this might get a little dewy on you. This might get a little oily on you. But on me, I like the way it looks, especially like the way it looks after some hours when my natural oils have come through, because it really sinks into the skin, and I just think it looks really beautiful. And I think that for me, About Face is one of the celebrity brands, the celebrity makeup brands that has really kind of continually impresses me. And I wasn't checking for it to impress me, but I've tried, when I did my first like full face of About Face Beauty, I think I only liked like a handful of the products and other things I didn't like. But as time has gone on, there have been things from that video that I still reach for, and there are things from that video that I have repurchased, and there's new things that have come into my collection that I love. So yeah, this has been a go-to for me, and it's a really good price point. I think the price of it is $22. I think that's a really reasonable price point. Yeah, this is definitely has been one of my go-tos this year. Another one of my go-tos that I need to get in a different color because it is way too deep for me, but I used it a lot in the summer, and I would lighten it up with like concealer. But this is the Urban Decay Face Bond. I have it in 21 Medium Neutral, which the description on the website sounds like my skin tone, but this is just like a tad too warm. So I need to get something that's a little bit lighter. But if you are looking for one of those types of foundations, this to me is like an updated version of the foundations that we used to love in like 2016, 2017, you know, full coverage, you know, long lasting, matte, but it's not, it's full coverage, long lasting, kind of matte, satin matte. You know, it's just pulled back a little bit on that, like, I'm wearing foundation, you know, feeling. It is definitely a foundation. Okay, this is not a skin tint. This has more coverage than the About Face. This is not, oh, I just want a light natural look. No, if you're looking for something that is going to give you a beautiful, flawless finish that is going to stay, hence why it's called Face Bond, that is going to stay. It's supposed to be like self-setting, I believe. I still set this a little bit with powder. In the summer, I would set it with a little bit of powder. In the winter, I don't think I would set this with anything. If I wore this tomorrow, I would just wear it on its own because I feel like it would be enough. I wouldn't need anything else on it. But this is a great long-lasting foundation if you're looking for something to wear for like a wedding or any kind of event where you're going to be wearing makeup for a really long time and you want it to still look good throughout the day. Very good choice. For those days where you just want your skin to be a little bit perfected, you want it to be soft, you want it to look natural, you don't want any fuss with it, and you really are looking for that Your Skin But Better finish, this is what I've been reaching for, guys. This is my new bottle because my old bottle is almost empty. It's a different shade, so I've been mixing the two, but it's the Sephora Reveal the Real Skin Tint. Guys, I bought this on a whim. I was like, let me try the Sephora Skin Tint. Y'all, this is one of my favorite foundations in my collection right now. I wear this most days. I wore this today because I hadn't reached from there it's in my fall capsule, and I have been reaching for this almost exclusively, and I was like, I really need to use the About Face. Even though I love the About Face, I have been reaching for this pretty much all summer, since like late summer to now. And in the summer, I would pair it with this. And I wouldn't need to do anything else. And now, because it's a little bit cooler out, I don't even have to do that. I may powder a little bit, but this gives such a beautiful skin finish. Not luminous, glowy, but not dewy. It is not a dewy finish. At least on me, it's not. And it's just a beautiful Your Skin But Better. It has a bit of pigment to it. It is light to light medium coverage. You know, you're not going to get a full beat with this. You're just not. But if you're looking for something that you feel like you can wear every day and that you feel comfortable with having on all day, and you don't feel like I don't feel like I have a whole lot of makeup on when I'm wearing this. This is what I'm wearing most days to work. In the morning, I throw this on. I do a soft eye, you know, and I'm good to go. This is like such a good product. And I think these are actually the same price. So, you know, I would say if you're looking for like any like something that's like great for like special occasions, you know, when I want more coverage, or something that's every day, I mean, you can get both of these and it'll be about the price of this one by itself. I'm just saying. I love all three, but I'm just saying if you're thinking about it, that's a great way to look at it. But yeah, this is a beautiful, like Sephora did the thing with this. I mean, they really did. I'm surprised because and also let me just say, I'm not a skin tint person. Like I used to love skin tints. I'm not really a skin tint person now because they tend to be just kind of not enough coverage, or they tend to be more coverage than you're looking for. Like there doesn't seem to be this like standardized version of a skin tint. This is not the only skin tint I've tried this year, but is the only one that I've continued to reach for. So yes to the Sephora Reveal the Real, one of my faves of the year, hands down. And then next up, if you're looking for a higher end, medium to medium high coverage foundation that is beautiful on the skin, it can get a little dewy depending if you're super oily. So I would say if you are super oily girly, or you know, if you are someone who just struggles to keep oils at bay, this is not the product for you. However, if you are someone who's like normal to dry, if you're dry, you're gonna love this. But if you're normal to like slightly oily like me, I really like this because it does allow some glow to come through, but it stays on my face. It doesn't move around. It doesn't oxidize. It doesn't, you know, break up. It looks beautiful. I was shocked at how beautiful this looked after a 10-hour work day. I was not expecting it to look this good, but I will say it should look this good considering how expensive it is. And that is the Surratt Dewdrop foundation. This is an incredibly expensive foundation. Incredibly expensive. Probably the most expensive foundation I've ever owned. I was lucky enough to get one in PR, and it's not quite the right shade. So I purchased a second one on sale, but I only did that after wearing this one, which is shade 12, which is a little bit warm for me, but I can make it work. But I was like, you know, let me try a different shade. The only reason I decided to spend my own money on a second shade is because I loved it so much and I knew I would get use out of it. This is a stunning foundation, and it is what I would hope that a higher end luxury priced product would be. They are not always, but I think if you're going to have a price point, and I believe this is like $75. If you're going to have that kind of price point, you better come correct. And so I feel like Surratt came correct, and I've come to really like this. And this for me is kind of works the way that this one works, except this one is going to be that more glowy, luminous, lit from within finish, and this is going to give you a matte finish. But I honestly, even as much as I love this one, if I had to choose, if I had to pick, if you were like, pick one now, I would pick the Surratt, because I just like the way my skin looks when I wear this. And I especially like the way my skin looks like hours later. My skin still looks great. I mean, I remember the first time I wore this, I was working a 9-hour workday, and I came home and went in the bathroom and looked at my face, and I was just like, damn girl, you look good. Like I looked great. And so, you know, the proof's in the pudding. It's a beautiful foundation. Is it expensive? Yes. But I think that at least the product holds up to the price point. The formulation is beautiful. And final complexion product is a product that was released, I think in March or April, maybe mid to late March of this year. And I was lucky to have received it in PR when I went to the Creators of Friends event in New Orleans, and then the owner was kind enough to send me a couple more shades, or another shade to try. So I have 2 shades. I also have the other product in the range. So this is the Salt New York case, and these are the Salt New York Best Case Concealers. I have them in the case with the Sneaky Balm, which I use, but I don't know if you can see. Can you see that? Can you see the pan there? Do you see, like, can you see that is pan? I hit pan on a complexion product, y'all. And it was the Best Case Concealer from Salt New York. And the only reason why it's not completely gone is that I pulled back on using it because I didn't want to run out of it. This is the other shade. So I believe this is 8 and this is 7, I believe. 8 is a better match for me most of the time, but also I can mix these together and it's perfect. It's just, Kiki did such a good job with the tones on this. Like, it looks really, she just did such a good job. And what I love about the concealer is that It's dewy, but it's not dewy in the way that you feel like it's going to slide all over your face. It just makes your under eyes look hydrated and plump and healthy, and it has enough coverage for me anyway, where I feel like I'm still getting coverage, but I don't look like I'm wearing anything. Like, it just looks like I woke up like this, you know, like, and I could not get over how much I wore this with all of these complexion products. I wore the Best Case concealer with, and what I loved was the sort of seamless melding into the skin. It melts into the skin like butter, and you can kind of see it here. When I hold it up, you can kind of see that gloss that it has, and you see it's more glossy than the Sneaky Bomb. It's got this beautiful, that's how it looks on the skin. It's not shiny, but what I mean is it just makes your skin look like you drink water. You get 8 hours of sleep. You know, you're not stressed about anything in life. That's kind of the vibe it gives. And I have gone through a couple of concealers, you guys. If you guys have been with me on my concealer journey, then you know, up until that point that I got the Best Case concealer, I have been using the Givenchy Prism Libre concealer consistently. I was really upset when I took it to New Orleans with me, and then I got home and I put it down. And I had, other things that I was trying, and I was trying the Best Case concealer, and I went to reach for the Prism Libre, and it had completely like separate. It was like disgusting. And I come to find out that that concealer goes bad really quickly. I think it has like a 6-month shelf life, which for the price point, I was a little salty about. Givenchy makeup is not cheap. It's a luxury brand. And so I opted not to repurchase it because I was using this, and I still haven't repurchased that concealer. It's a beautiful concealer. I would say if you're going to get it, I'm hoping that they come out with a mini version. If they come out with a mini version, I will purchase that, but I haven't repurchased it because I haven't needed to. I was using this. I basically flip between this and my House Labs concealer right now, guys. Those are my two go-to concealers right now. And I'm not mentioning the House Labs because I bought that last year, and I talked about it last year, but this is the newest baby, and I love it. And I'm gonna repurchase the shade 8 because I'm almost done with it, and I'm probably gonna pan it, and I need it in my life. So yeah, Best Case concealer. Now let's talk about powder. And I had repurchased the powder, the e.l.f. Halo Glow, which I actually really like. But then I got this in PR, and I've been using this consistently throughout the summer, and it's just been doing what I need a powder to do. I can use a tiny amount of it. It sets where I need it to set, but it doesn't make my skin look flat. It doesn't make my skin look overly matte. My glow can still come through without my skin looking greasy. My product stays on my face. It's just been like my go-to, and I was looking at how much I had left, and I was like, oh, I've used a lot of this. Even though I don't use a ton every day, I use it every day practically. So yeah, and that is the Sigma Soft Focus Setting Powder in Honey. Yeah, I have used so much of this. I don't know if you guys can even see how much I've used, but I can see through. Can you see how much of that I've used? Like, I've been using this, and that is wild because I'm not a powder, I don't use powder like that, but I've been using this one literally every day. I used it today. This is what I like to use because I just think it's got a beautiful finish, and it is soft focus, so it's not like overly blurring, but it just gives a nice finish to the face. You don't need to use a lot of it. I don't get cake face from it. It doesn't like do that thing where if you apply powder and your foundation starts to break up and you get that kind of like cottage cheese vibe. I don't get that at all. I don't get that usually because I'm using it with these base products that don't do that anyway. But this is a beautiful powder. Yeah, so I can't get over how much of it I've used. I'm like, oh wow, that's a lot of powder, but I would repurchase this easily. And this one is actually, I received this in PR in a different tone, in a different shade. It was too deep for me, so I actually bought this one myself, and I think I have a backup somewhere that I received in PR that I will be using. Let's talk bronzers. Now, you guys know I've been on a bronzer journey. If you saw my rosy bronzer comparison video, you should have watched that. I will leave a link for it. But I have been on a bronzer journey, but 2 bronzers immediately when I sat down, I was like, what bronzers do I want to pick? I mean, one of them I was just like, absolutely, duh. And then I was like, and also, So we've got two bronzers to talk about, guys, and they are both rosy bronzers. So first up, let's talk about the one I tried first. So I tried the Phytosurgeons. The story goes like this. I tried the Phytosurgeons rosy bronzer. I think it's Rosy Blaze 6, and fell in love. And I was like, this rosy bronzer thing is life-changing. And then NYX came out with these bronzers, and I remember everyone was like making fun of them. They were like, they're so rosy and pink. Why are they so pink? Why are they so rosy? And I was like, rosy, you say? And so I picked up two. One of them was a bust because it's not as rosy as it looks in the like on the website, but one of them was a winner, and it is the NYX Buttermelt Bronzer in Butter Biscuit. It looks like this. It doesn't look that rosy, but you can see, I mean, I'm not wearing it today, but you can see how that would go rosy on me. It's, guys, and this has like the tiniest bit of sheen, and it's really just from how finely milled it is, but it's so pretty. It's so pretty. It is very pigmented. You only need a little bit of it, and you need to, I would say, use a synthetic brush. Do not use a natural hair brush for this. It'll pick up too much, and you'll be freaking out about how much product you're trying to blend out. Use it with a synthetic brush. I know some people, I've seen some reviews where people were struggling with this and they gave it a bad review because they just didn't like the way that it was looking. But I really do think the type of brush you use and how much you pick up on your brush does play a part in that. So I would say that this maybe has a little bit of a learning curve, but not a big one. And I think for the price point, these are like $10. This is like, and it has a lovely smell. It smells like vanilla. I don't usually love scented makeup, but I don't know, every time I open this, I'm like, it's just so nice. And it's so silky, and the formulation is such high quality for the price point. Like, such high quality. Like, NYX did their thing with this. It's a beautiful, beautiful product. And so, yeah, this was the second rosy bronzer that came into my life where I was like, chef's kiss, yes, rosy bronzers for life. The third one that came into my life was a far higher price point, but equally beloved and worth every dime. And that is the Lancome Skin Transforming Bronzer. It's Teint to Dull Skin Transforming Bronzer in Tan 5. It looks like this. Now here it doesn't look that rosy, does it? But I mean, look at my cheeks. That's what I'm wearing. She's a stunner. She's a runner. She's a track star. This is one of, I would say, if I had to rank everything in front of me right now and something had to take the #1 spot, the top dog spot, it would probably be this. I just, you know how you look at a product and you're like, I know you're the one for me. I kept seeing it everywhere because it didn't release in the States right away. So I kept seeing all of these promotional photos for it, but I can never get it here. It was always in like, I think it started off in like Selfridges and Harrods, and it finally made its way to the States. And I got it, and I was just like, I put it on my cheeks, and I was like, this is a lifelong love affair, isn't it? Yes, it is. It's such a beautiful product, guys. If you're asking me which one of these to buy, if you have the money to splurge, get this one. If you don't have the money to splurge, this is amazing. I love it. But if you have the money to splurge, get this one. Look at that packaging though. Look at that. On top of that, on top of it being beautiful as a formulation, you also get a pretty pack. Like, look how stunning it is. I mean, like, I'm getting ready to go out of town next week, and I really want to take this with me, but I'm afraid to, because I'm afraid that it's gonna get broken, and I'm gonna have a meltdown. I'm gonna have a breakdown. So it has to stay here. But I really want to bring this with me because I love it so much and I use it so much. Next up for the cheeks is, this is a set that I bought fairly recently from a brand that I haven't checked for in years. But for some reason, I saw it on, I forget who, someone on Instagram, I believe it was Karen Harris actually, shared a post of it from like Trend Mood or something. And I was just like, what is that? What it was the Tarte Amazonian Clay Cheek Set in reds and berries. And I I bought it. It was on sale at Ulta. I was like, I gotta have it. I gotta have it. Now, I will say this about Tarte. I haven't checked for Tarte in years. I haven't owned anything from Tarte in years. Well, I had a couple of the Maracujas. I take that back. I did have one of, like, 2 of the Maracuja lippies. Or was it 3? Because I got a set. But outside of that, that's the only thing I've owned. And I've actually kind of decluttered those because I wasn't a huge fan of that formulation. I thought it was too thick and gloopy. But outside of that, I hadn't tried anything from Tarte in years. However, I will say, of the things that I have tried in general from Tarte, their Amazonian clay blushes slap. When I was first getting into makeup, one of the first things I purchased that was on the higher end was a Tarte Amazonian clay blush, and I panned it. So I knew that the formulation would be good. I was not expecting to love, and the shades looked beautiful online. Like, that really is what caught my eyes. I couldn't get over how beautiful and vibrant and juicy the shades looked. There's a couple of other shades in that set that I reach for, but I'm going to talk about the color that I've been reaching for the most that has just rocked my world. And that is this shade here called Poise. Do you see why it might rock my world? Like, do you see why this is so stunning? Look at that. It's like a brownie, and it looks more pink on camera than it is in person. It's a little bit more muted, and you can kind of see it back here when I pull back a little bit from my lighting, how it's basically a brown blush with a little, like a purple undertone. Y'all, I'm wearing this today and I applied it quite lightly, but guys, this is so pretty. And it's beautiful on the skin. I mean, like I said, the Tarte Amazonian Clay blush formulation slaps. It always has. It is one of those things that I think that they did a really good job with formulating, and they haven't really tweaked it or changed it all that much, which is great because it is, in my opinion, one of their hero products. I mean, outside of like Shape Tape and all that, but they had this before that, and it's stood the test of time as far as the formula. But yeah, this shade specifically, but there's also like this beautiful vibrant orange called Chic that is just, and I don't have it over here in front of me, but it's so pretty. And at first I was like, I really want that color, and I was a little intimidated by it, but it's so pretty on the cheeks, guys. It's so, again, use a synthetic brush to pick up the product, but it just, especially with that one because it's so vibrant, but it's just so pretty. So if you've been eyeing that set and you're kind of on the fence, I'm telling you, it's worth it. I haven't tried the pink one. If you're interested in the pink one, I say go for it because I do think the quality is there. I don't know anything about the shades, but for me, the Reds and Berries has slapped and has been worth every dime. And I didn't actually think it was that out of pocket as far as pricing. I think the set was $45, so you got 4 blushes, mini blushes like this, which I love a mini blush. I'm never going to use a big pan of blush, but this is like manageable, you know? So you get 4 blushes and one is and then you get a highlighter, which I've also been using, and which is shocker. I'm wearing it today. I'm wearing the highlighter, which is called Shine here. And you guys know I haven't really been checking for highlighter, but I've been reaching for this because I have it, and I'm like, okay, you know. Beautiful set. So I think it's worth every dime, and you can probably find it on sale at this point. I got it on sale. I think I got mine for like 38, 35, 38, something like that. So you can still get a good deal on it, and I think it's worth every penny. Next up is a product that is kind of a highlighter, but I use it on my eyes, and I've used it on my face too, but I really like it on my eyes, but I'm going to put it in this category because that's kind of like how it's been marketed. It's a highlighter face and eyes. So this is the Clionadh Fruitlight in the shade Bitter. Let me show it to you. Okay, so you're like, oh, that's pretty. Do you see that? And on my, looking at it on my hand, it looks gold, but then it just shifts to pink and orange and peach, and it's just so pretty. And I wore this all the time during the summer. I would just put this on my eyelids I would run something through my crease just to give my eye some definition, and then I'd pat this on my lid. And I got so many compliments on this. It's ridiculous how many compliments. And it's just a beautiful product. I love it so much, and it does look beautiful on the face. Like, I've worn this as a traditional highlighter as well. It's just that because I wasn't really reaching for highlighter, I was using it as, I guess you can see it a little bit better there. My lighting's a little bright, but it's so pretty, guys. It's so pretty. And I am a sucker for anything that has like that peachy tone to it, you know, that peachy shifty tone, and that hit the sweet spot for me. So yeah, this is absolutely stunning. If you are looking at these highlighters, I highly recommend them because they do function really well as eye products as well. Like the formula is got enough body that it does work really well as, you know, like an eye shadow, but it also doesn't have too much body where it looks like if you put it on your face like you've got like a streak. It's just a really nice happy medium as far as the way the formula is and how the product sits on the skin, whether that be the eyes or the face. All right, next up, let's talk about eyes, since I kind of veered into that territory a little bit anyway. Let's talk about eyes and let's talk about shadows. So I forgot an eyeshadow palette. I'm looking and I'm like, I'm missing something. I'm gonna grab it in a minute, but let's talk about this product here that I picked up in March of this year, and it is the Make Beauty Multi-Chromatic Metal Reflecting Eyeshadow, and I have two shades, but the shade that I've been reaching for the most is Dream Dust, and it looks like that. And I'm gonna swatch it on my hand for you. It looks like that. And I mentioned this, I believe I mentioned this in my top 6 one and done shadows. And I talked about how I took this with me to New Orleans, and I would just wear this with MAC Teddy liner smudged in the outer corner and around my eye line and lower lash line, and this would be on the lid. And guys, you know how you're always looking for that sweet spot of like maximum, you know, minimal effort, maximum impact. I'm always looking for that. And it just made me look like I really did something. I really didn't do much at all. Like my eyes, it was like 5 minutes, but this paired with that liner was just serving. And this product, it's really quite velvety to the touch. It has dimension to it. It is not, okay, I know there are some people going like, it's not multi-chromatic. I don't know why they're calling it multi-chromatic. It's not multi-chromatic. I think that's a marketing name. I think that's them trying to, you know, make it sound interesting. It's a really beautiful, beautiful, well-formulated metallic shadow. I would say it's probably more metallic than shimmer because it has a bit more body to it, a bit more oomph. It's not like a sparse or like scattered type of shine. It is very much a metallic shade or a metallic shadow. But having said that, it's still really beautiful. It looks beautiful on the eye. Every time I wear this, I get compliments. They're like, what's on your eye? This is just one of those things that people will ask. And I think one of the reasons why they call it multi-chromatic is, I don't know if you can see here, but it looks like it has like scattered pigments in it. I think that's honestly where it's coming from, but that just doesn't show up on the eye. That's once you know, swatch it with your finger or put a brush in it, it's just gonna come off as like one cohesive shadow. So I think that might be where they got that from, but pish posh, you know, I don't really care because I think it's a really beautiful product, and I could tell from the swatches that it wasn't going to be multi-chromatic. So I wasn't feeling like I was buying something thinking I was getting something different. Like I knew what I was getting into. So yeah, this has been hands down one of my like favorite products of the year. Let's talk about some other single shadows, and this is actually a set of single shadows, and these are also from Clionadh, and these were the shade extensions for the stained glass collection. I mean, guys, I usually don't go for single shadows. They're not my thing. If they're not in like something like this, like in a component, I don't tend to reach for them. So when I got these, I was kind of like, they're pretty, but I just don't know if I'm going to get a lot of use out of these. I was wrong. I was so very wrong. And I'll show you the shades that I reach for the most in this. And I'll try to remember the names of them because I don't want to take these out of the palette. It's these two shades here, and I'll try to remember to put their names. I'll put links to everything anyway, so if there's anything in this video that you're interested in, oh, let's do this one because I also really wear this one too. So these shades here, do you see? I mean, look at these. So these are the three. These are the main two, and then I also reach for this one, but, well, I'm actually doing that backwards. So these are the main two, and I also reach for this one. So yeah, guys, I mean, look at this. Look at this. Look at the shift on that like red. I had never tried Clionadh until I got these when I went to New Orleans, and I was like, oh, because I just didn't see the point. I was like, again, I don't use like single shadow. So every time I would see their products like on someone's eye, I go, oh, that's so pretty, but I'm not going to get a lot of use out of that. And I would just kind of like talk myself out of it. But if you were on the fence about trying Clionadh, I just want to say, buy 1 or 2 shades. They are on the higher end, but the quality is worth the price point, and they are absolutely stunning. If you are interested, I do have an affiliate code, so you can save money. But I would say, you know, don't feel like you have to buy a ton, you know, get a bunch of shades. Try 1 or 2. See how you feel, because I was the same way. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get a lot of use out of these, but I feel like these are so special that I started incorporating them into looks. You know, like I'd do a look and then I'd be like, you know, let me grab a little bit of this, and let me grab a little bit of, let me put a little bit of that in my inner eye, you know, my inner corner. And they just kind of blew my mind. And so now I am also a Clionadh believer, because I just was like, between that and Bitter, like these have been the you know, when I'm trying to like do a look and I want to keep it as, you know, I'm trying to be quick and straightforward about it, and I don't have a lot of time, but I really do want that, like, it looks like you did something. Get a matte shade and then throw this on your lid. Dude, it's so pretty. Like, it's it's so pretty. I can't get over how, like, this one here I haven't used in a minute, and I think I'm gonna put that on my eyelid tomorrow for work, because it's just giving. Isn't it giving? I just feel like it's giving. So yeah, I will link this down below, and I will try to remember to put the shades that I just swatched on the screen, because I'm not good with that. Like, if I don't see the names, because I'm a palette girly, remember that. Oh, I forgot about this one. Let me show you guys this one too. Look at that. Oh, so stunning. Ooh, and this one. Now I'm just like swatching Clionadh shadows, but that one. Do you see that? Oh, so pretty. The shift is so nice. And it's even better in person. And I just, yeah, I'm glad that these came into my life, and that, you know, I've come to understand why they're so special, because they really are. Like, the hype is real. And it is deserved, because the shades are just, I've got Clionadh shimmer everywhere now, but the shades are just stunning. I will say this though, they are incredibly flaky. Wet your brush or use a glitter glue. I'm just gonna put it out there. If you're putting it on and you've done your makeup, or even if you haven't done your makeup and you don't want to clean up a lot of fallout, please make sure to either wet your brush or use a glitter glue. Trust me. Next up, I have another palette that I received in New Orleans, but I had never tried Sigma shadows before, so I was just sort of like, okay, the palette looked beautiful, but I didn't have any opinions one way or the other, because I hadn't tried the formulation. So I was like, that's really pretty. And then I got it, you know, it was revealed to us at the dinner we went to, and I got it and I put it on my eyelids when I got home. I don't think I used this one while I was there. No, I didn't. I didn't use this while I was there. I used this when I got home, and I started doing my makeup for work. And that is the Sigma Cool Neutrals palette. Guys, this is like what I wish a lot of brands would do when they do a cool tone palette or neutrals palette, is to sort of spice it up a bit. Like, this is cool tone, but as you can see, it has a couple of pops of warmth to keep it from being one-dimensional, you know, because that is kind of the problem we have when we're doing like warm palettes and cool palettes, is that oftentimes the looks just all look the same, because there's no depth, there's no change in tone to sort of draw the eye around. It just all kind of beats up against each other and just falls flat, and everything looks like warm brown or cool toned grayish tone, you know, and it's really hard to get a look that's different. You know, you can use the palette, you like the shades in the palette, but every look you do kind of looks the same. You know, that's the problem I think we have with a lot of like multi-chromatic palettes, or not multi, did I just say multi-chromatic? Monochromatic palettes. It's what, 7 o'clock at night. after a 9-hour workday. Monochromatic palettes, okay? That's the problem I think we have with a lot of them. I love monochromatic palettes, but I always feel like there needs to be at least 1 or 2 shades that just are a little bit out of the box to just give some versatility. Otherwise, it might as well be a quad, because you're gonna get the same look every single time. So for me, I think this was so well done. Let me take the brush out so it doesn't fall out. It was so well done because it is cool tone, but it has enough going on and a couple of curveballs to just keep it from being too samey on the eye. I can do so many different looks. The other day I did a look with this and I used this blue tone on my eye. I was in the mood for like you know, I very rarely do this, but for some reason that day I was like, I'm in the mood for a blue smoky eye. And I reached for this and I used this shade along with this one and a little bit of that one. And I also used a little bit of that. Beautiful. But I've also like lived in this area and done completely warm tone looks because I just reached for the couple of warm tone shades in here and use those together. But I've done looks with both where I combine them. I just think this is such a smart layout and a smart color story because it allows people to feel like they're not allows people, but it gives people options outside of it just being a cool tone palette. And you know, this isn't like a super expensive palette, but it's not a cheap palette. This is not, you know, a ColourPop price palette. So I feel like if you're going to be spending that kind of money, you would want something that you can get a lot out of. And I think this is sort of the thing that I wish that brands that have been in the eyeshadow palette game for a while that used to do it really well, but have come to do tones that are a little bit samey, Natasha. I wish they would start doing that again, where they're putting in a few tones that are a little bit off the beaten path to keep it interesting and also to allow versatility of looks within the palette. So yes, this is on my favorites of 2024. Next up, we have a palette that when I saw this previewed, I was like, and this is going back to what I was saying about the Sigma Cool Neutrals palette. This one is another one that I think did this type of thing better than the mainstream brands have been doing it. So when I saw this previewed, I was like, bet. You know, I haven't bought a lot of palettes this year, guys. I've been really blessed. I've gotten palettes in PR. I don't get a ton of PR, but I've gotten some really beautiful palettes in PR, and I've been really blessed in that way. And like, it just, you know, things that if I had seen them and I was like, oh, I would really want that, and I've gotten them and I've had the chance to play with them, and I'm very excited about that. But I haven't personally purchased a lot of palettes this year because one, I just feel like I was a little paletted out, but also I feel like a lot was being, specifically in the indie space, too much was being released too quickly, and it was just kind of putting me off. But this is one palette that I made a point of purchasing. Like, I looked at it, I was like, yes, bet, sold, check, add to cart, you know? And that is the Cosmic Brushes Nude Trolls palette. So it's Nude Trolls, Nude Trolls. Let me show her to you. I'm sure you guys have seen her, but look at her. She's so pretty. And this is what I'm talking about. This is a neutral palette. And the irony of this is I purchased this palette around the same time that I purchased the Natasha Denona Golden palette. And my issue with the Golden palette, even though I do really like that palette, it didn't make it to my faves because I really wanted to keep that for things that I felt were special. And as pretty as that palette is, I don't think it's a special palette. I don't think it's a particularly unique palette. It is a palette that I reach for a lot. I will say that. But it's because it's so basic that it's very easy to use on a daily basis. I wanted to pull things that kind of like inspired me this year and that I felt super excited to use when I look at them. With the Golden palette, I look at it and it's pretty, but I don't feel like my world has been lit up when I use that palette. I think it's a beautiful palette, it's a beautiful formula, but it's not exciting. You know what I mean? It's not like, wow, this is such an inspiring color story. The irony is I purchased that and I had reviewed it, and then this was revealed. And this was exactly what I was saying I wished Natasha had done with the Golden palette, is that I feel like if you're gonna do a spin-off of a palette that is so beloved that people can no longer get anymore, which was the gold palette, and the reason why that palette has held up and stood the test of time is because it was, even though it was a gold palette, it had tones and textures in it that made it special, that made it interesting, you know? And that was lacking in the golden palette. However, right after I did that, this palette was revealed and I was like, this is what I was talking about. Do you see how beautiful this is? I mean, even if you took out these, do you see what I mean? How you just get really interesting tones and textures, and it's just, when I use this palette, I'm excited. Like, I open it up and I'm like, ooh, what am I gonna do today? And I will say, I mean, there are shades in here that I reach for all the time, and I'm, you know, we all have those shades that we like love and that we're just like, that's our thing. And for me, it's Desire. This is a shade that I reach for constantly when I'm using this palette. I mean, give me a fiery tone, baby. I'm there. I'm sold. Look at that. It's so pretty. That's what I mean. Like, even when I'm swatching this palette, I get excited. I'm like, ooh, this is just, it's such a pretty palette. And the metallics are so nice. So here's the shade Luxe that I also love. I wear this. And what I love about this is it has that, like, you know, shifty oil slick vibe. Oh, so pretty. And then Radiant. Radiant is beautiful. Really super beautiful shift. I don't know if you guys can even see that, but it's like this really light, almost white base. Can you see that? But it comes out really light pink. So in the palette, it looks like that. But on your eye, it's like this really beautiful pink. It's so pretty. I mean, and this shade here, Velvet, and I don't use this one as much as I should, but I've used it a few times and I'm just like obsessed. And oh, look at that. I mean, and then on top of that, their matte formula is so good. It's so, I mean, Cosmic Brushes honestly has probably, if not my fave, one of my top indie palette, like indie brand formulations when it comes to like indie eyeshadow formulations. Cosmic Brushes, their palettes have consistently been in my faves since I've tried them out. So I think I now own what, 3 of their palettes, 3 or 4. I don't own all of them, but all of them are so stunning and so well done. The formulas are so beautiful, and this was like, after trying the golden palette and then trying this, I was just like, it's Hasha girl. They coming for you. Next up is a palette that when I saw the packaging, I got this in PR, I opened it up and I literally gasped. I was so blown away by just the packaging, like just the outer packaging, the actual palette. And then I opened it up and I was like, thank you. Fall palettes have this thing where they all start to look alike after a while. Everyone's doing the same thing. And it gets a little boring. It gets a little samey, and it's really just like, take your pick. I honestly feel like you can just pick which one you want. They're kind of all going to do the same thing for you on the eye. You just got to pick the one from the brand whose formulation you like best. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Like, everyone's doing the oranges, and everyone's doing the browns and the golds, and everyone's doing like the fall thing. And I have nothing against that. Those are some of my favorite tones. I'm just saying that when this fall season rolls around, it can feel like you're looking at the same thing just rearranged a lot of the time. And so I was really hoping that somebody will come out with an interesting color story. And Nomad came through. Nomad came through with Fuji 5 Lakes. First of all, let's talk about the packaging, because I said I gasped. This is all textured. This is all textured. Look at this palette. It's all textured. It's textured all the way around on the back. This is one of the most stunning palettes, just visually, aesthetically, that I have seen in a really long time, guys. I don't know what it is about this. It sends me every time. Like, I pulled it out to do this video and I was like, it's just so pretty. And then the inside is this. Now for me, I love that they opted not to do a bunch of greens, muted greens and muted oranges. And they kind of, I mean, they did the job because it's supposed to be Fuji 5 Lakes, which is an actual place, and these are the tones of that place, and the palette tells you the story of what you're going to get. Like if you look at this palette and you look at these tones, that's what you get. That's what you get, you know? But it's such a beautiful palette, and it does, you can do a somewhat neutral look with this. I would say that this is probably far more colorful than most of the fall palettes. And this is not a palette that I say I would reach for all the time, but I have reached for it when I'm looking for something that is fall-like but has some color to it. And the colors that I've been reaching for, honestly guys, have been these yellows here. And I've also been reaching for this shade Fiery Maple because I love a red metallic. This shade is stunning, and I think it's a beautiful palette. I think the whole shebang is beautiful, and I miss the time. I feel like some brands still do it, but I do miss the time when I felt like the packaging told the story, like everything was like, you know what I mean? We get that in the indie. I think we do get that in indie makeup, but we don't really get that in mainstream anymore. We don't get that anymore, and I miss that. So I like that the indie brands are bringing their A game, because that's stunning. Another Nomad palette that meets this criteria that I'm including in this for a couple of reasons. One, it is after my town. It is after my city. It's not my city. It's not a town. My city is a city, baby. Chicago. And this is the Nomad Cosmetics Chicago Speakeasy palette. Another packaging stunner. Can you hear that? This is velvet. Oh my gosh, guys, it's so pretty. But then look at the color story. How stunning is this? I mean, it's so pretty, and it's, what I like about it is that it's colorful but muted. It's like almost like a grungy bright palette. You know what I mean? Like it has, you know, this green here, this like, it's the Green Mill, which is actually named after an actual bar here in Chicago, which is like this acidy green. And then it has this shade called Southside, which shifts from like green to purple. So it's very like absinthe. It has these types of shades in it, but then you have shades like Boulevardier, which is just this like shifty red. I love these type of tones. I never get tired of them. I know some people might, I don't. Then you have this shade like Gin Ricky, which is just like this really beautiful topper that's like frosted, but it shifts to like pink, and it's just, and this is like the formula there when they press their metallics in this way. This is like my favorite way that they press their metallics. This is like not too firmly pressed. They have a little bit of texture to them, but not too much, so you don't get a lot of fallout or anything. But you can do a neutral look with this, guys. I've done looks with just like this, and then a little bit of Boulevardier and Gin Ricky in the inner corner. And then finally, I have the Fantasy Cosmetica Makeup Just for Fun collab Enchanted Autumn. I got this in PR as well, and I was not expecting to get this in PR, and I was so excited when I got, and look at this. Look at this. I mean, Amanda did the thing with this. She really did. And I know she's a purple girly. I know she loves purple, but I love that this looks like her. I've had the pleasure of meeting her and getting to know her, and she's such a funny person, but she's also such a sweet person. But when I opened this up, I was like, oh, that's Amanda. It's her. Like, this feels like a color story she would create, and it's beautiful. And I'm wearing it on my eyes right now. Like, I wasn't planning on shooting this video today. I just had some time, and I was like, I'm gonna sit down and film this video because I knew it was gonna take me a while, and I'm like, let's do it now. Let's get it out of the way. So I had used this not realizing I was gonna film this video today. So this wasn't like planned, but this is what I'm wearing on my eyes today. And so I'm wearing Longleaf Pine. Well, I'm wearing Willow Oak in the crease with Longleaf Pine. And then I have Harvest Moon and Luna. So I have Luna a little bit here and in the inner corner, and then a little bit under here. And then I also took a little bit of, I think it was Scorpio, and I put a little bit of that here. This is a beautiful palette, and I've been wanting to try Fantasy Cosmetica for a really long time, and I finally got my hands on a couple of their palettes, and I tried the Druid palette, which blew my mind. I got that in New Orleans, and it just, I was obsessed with it, and I wore it like I was wearing that the time while I was there. Like I got that, and I got the Sigma Cool Neutrals, and I wasn't using the Cool Neutrals because I was too busy wearing the Druid palette. It's beautiful, but I wanted to feature this one because it is Amanda's palette, and it's so pretty, and it's the one that I've been reaching for the most since I got it of the two palettes. So yeah, this is Enchanted Autumn, and it's beautiful. I forgot a blush, and I looked at my desk, and I'm like, I'm forgetting something. What am I forgetting? I was forgetting this, guys. This little baby here, and this is the Huda Beauty blush filter, and this is in the shade Cotton Candy. Now, I was prepared to be kind of like, I don't know about that, but this actually looks so pretty on the skin, guys, and it's way more pigmented than I was expecting, and it just gives this beautiful, like, I don't know what it is about this color. I love it on my cheeks. It's like a really beautiful, like peachy, pinky tone. It's not coral. It's just like this perfect, like medium of pink and peach. And it's vibrant, but not too vibrant. You can blend it out, and it's really soft. The filter part, I think, is a really great description for it, because it does give this sort of like soft, almost filtered look to the cheek. I just recently ordered she came out with 2 new shades, which are kind of like bronzer blush shades. Very intrigued. I got the darker shade Coco Loco. I didn't get the other one because I saw Nicolette Panisi's review of both shades on her Instagram, and I just knew that just like on her, the lighter shade will probably turn quite pink on me, which I was not looking for. I was looking for that brownie tone, so I got the deeper shade, and I'll try when I get it. I'll test it out on camera with you guys and all that good stuff, or at least do a review of it for you. But I was like lifting things up, and I was like, oh, I forgot a blush. This is the problem when you're doing these types of videos. Like you're going through your list and you're trying to make sure you remember everything. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, and I'll get this video like edited and uploaded, and then I'll go, oh no. But this is one of the items that I was reaching for a ton this summer. I haven't reached for it as much this fall, only because I've been reaching for my like brownie tone blushes. That's just like that's been my bag lately. But I will reach for this again at some point, and I'm really excited to try the like brownie tone in this formulation, because I think it's a really good formulation. Let's talk eye products, but like liners and mascara, and then we'll move on to lips. So I have 2 products to talk about. First off, let's talk about the mascara that I tried for the first time in the spring, and then they came out with a brown version, and I've loved it, and I'm only keeping this so that I can show it to you, because this is like ready to be tossed. But this is the e.l.f. Lash Extender in brown, and this is a tubing mascara. I'm generally not a tubing mascara person. I will say this. It's not that I'm anti-tubing mascara. It really just depends on the mascara, because not all tubing mascaras are created equal, okay? Some of them flake really easily, and some of them are, you know, don't come off as easily as they claim to for a tubing mascara. I'm looking at you, Callie Ray. So I was like, I don't know, let's try it out. I loved it. I loved it so much. I had it in black. I bought it in brown. I really enjoy this. I will say that I do feel that it dries out quicker than regular mascaras, and I don't know if that's just a symptom of being a tubing mascara, because it is a slightly tubing mascaras tend to be I feel like be a slightly drier formula. Most of the ones I've tried have been anyway. So I don't know if that's the case, but because this is such an affordable mascara, I didn't feel like I was upset about that. Like I got a good 2 months use out of this, and I tend to rotate after 3 months. I'm a stickler about that because I have sensitive eyes. So once my mascaras get to a certain point, I kind of like get rid of them anyway. So for me, I was like, 2 months for this, not bad. But I really like this mascara. And if you're someone who's looking for that like really filled in, I have long lashes, but my lashes are sparse, and So I'm always looking for volume, but this will give you that, and it'll give you a little bit of lift, and it'll give you some length if you need it. It's a beautiful mascara, and I think it's a really good price point. I feel like e.l.f. has been doing it. You know, I've been trying a lot of e.l.f. over the past like year or so, year and a half, and the majority, not all of it, but the majority of the things I've tried have been really good, like really good. So if you're in the market for a new mascara, you're looking for a tubing mascara and you don't want to spend a whole lot of money, or if you just want to try this, the price point, I think this is $7. Easy peasy. Another drugstore product that when they came out with this, I was like, yes and thank you. NYX came out in the fall, early fall, late summer, early fall, with a line of an extension of their Epic Ink liquid eyeliners in varying shades of brown. I bought all three, but I'm only going to talk about one because it's the one that I've been reaching for the most, and it is the shade Dark Chocolate. So they have one called Graham Cracker, which is the lighter shade, and I would say if you are a fair complexion, like a pale lighter tone, Graham Cracker would work for you. I feel like if you tried the other two, they might almost look black on you. So I would say if you're still looking for that soft brown look, Graham Cracker is a great option. I use Graham Cracker. It's I've used it. It's a little too light for me. I bought it for science purposes, for more data. It's a little light for me, but I recommend it because I think the liner itself is really good. Then you have Milk Chocolate. And if I can, I'll try to put pictures up of them. I don't know if me marking them on my hand will do as good of a job as me showing you the pictures, but there's Milk Chocolate, which is a milk chocolate. Like it's literally just like middle of the road chocolate. And I would say this is good if you are my complexion or a little bit lighter. For me, it's still almost bordering on too light when I'm looking for a bit more impact, just a bit more. But if I'm going for a softer look, it works. But the one that I reach for the most is Dark Chocolate. And I will try to swatch this on my hand. I'm gonna do this on this hand because that has so much sparkle on it. And I'm gonna put it on this hand so you can see. So this is Dark Chocolate. And do you see how like, it's dark chocolate, it's brown. It's a rich brown. And I'm still holding on to it because I just can't let it go. But I have a liquid liner that Melt came out with years ago called Molten. And and they discontinued it, and I was very upset by that. And I have been holding on to it because I couldn't find anything to replace it with. I was like, I can't find anything that is even close to this tone. I just want this tone. This is not an exact dupe, but it's pretty damn close. It's pretty damn close, guys. And this, when you want to do a cat eye, but the black is like, you know, like it's like, oh, she did liner. It's like, she did liner, guys. That's how I feel black liner when you're doing a kit liner can feel sometimes. It can feel like, oh my God, guys, she did liner. But if you're wanting that same vibe, but you just want it to be a little more subtle, not just, you know, it's still there. It's still there, but it's not yelling. A brown liner does the trick. And this is such a beautiful liner, and it's so easy to use. It is is this a brush tip? Yes, it is. It's a brush tip. It's so fine. It's just a beautiful, beautiful formulation of a liquid liner, and it's a beautiful tone. And if you are of a paler tone than I am, if you're much paler and you want that like drama, but even for you, black, because black against pale skin can look so jarring, you know, just reach for Dark Chocolate so you get a little bit of that drama, but it's just a bit pared back. It's beautiful. I love this product. All right, lips. I got a couple of lippies to talk about. I don't have a lot of lippies. I think, how many lippies I have? I have 3 lippies. That's not too bad. How you guys are doing? How are you doing? Have you hydrated? Have you gone to the bathroom? I know this has been a marathon, but I warned you. Okay. So first up, let's talk about the Westman Atelier Lip Suede Matte Lipstick, and I have it in the shade Rue. And this is the top of it. So the top comes off like this. So it feels like sometimes I'm holding it wrong because I hold it like this and then I'll take the lid off and go, oh yeah, the lid is so tiny. It is magnetic though. Listen to that. For the price point, it should sound like that. This is a $50 lipstick. But I love it. I'm gonna swatch it here. This formulation, guys, is so nice. This is the one and only Westman Atelier product I own, and I want to try more because I love this. Like, it's velvety. It's velvety, but it doesn't feel dry. The shades are like, how do I put, they remind me almost a little bit, but not quite, of how Lisa Eldridge does her lip shades, where there's a classicness to them, but there's a twist. There's a little bit of something extra that just keeps them from being too on the nose. And that's how I feel the Westman Atelier matte lip suede color range looks to me. And this shade Rue is kind of like that. Like, Rue is a brown, but it's a brown with like a purple undertone. So depending on your skin tone, it might read a little more purple than brown. And it's just so stunning. Long lasting, matte. Is it drying on the lips? It depends on your lips. I have dry lips, so when I'm wearing a matte lipstick, I kind of know I have to prep. So for me, yes, it is. Any matte lipstick is going to be more dry on me. But if your lips are not, if you don't struggle with that, if you don't have the same struggle of dry lips, I think you'll be fine. It's not a liquid lipstick, but it's just, I mean, this, yeah, beautiful. Next up, let's talk about another matte liquid lipstick release that I have been reaching for. And this is more, I first swatched it when it came out. I was at a Sephora and I swatched it, and I knew that I wanted to eventually purchase it, but I kind of held off. And I got it, when did I get this? April of this year. And this is the Merit Signature Lip Matte, and this is in the shade Equestrian. I'll cover everything else so you can see that. I'm covering the wrong thing. So this is it. How stunning is that? And it looks more red toned on camera, but and I'll put it on. I think I'm actually gonna put this on. I have a kind of similar tone on my lips now. What I'm wearing now is the Merit Lippy in 1990 mixed with a Chanel Lippy. Because I really want you to see what this looks like. And it kind of does an eye look today, so this is Equestrian, just thrown on. Can you see? And I really like the signature lips from Merit. I purchased a couple, and I really should have gotten one of them when they first released, and I didn't, and I wound up decluttering some, but the one that I kept was Baby, and then I went on to purchase 1990 recently, which I love. And I really like this one. I'm not sure if I would purchase any of the other tones. I might, I don't know. But this is the one that I wanted the most, and this is the one that has come, like, when I got it and I tried it on for the first time, I was like, yes, exactly what I was looking for. This is giving me what I wanted from it. And that's always a good thing when you get a product and it gives you what you want from it. I would say this one, of the two of these, is the less matte one. It is still matte, but I would say even it's like a Merit matte. You know, like, you can see it's matte, but it's not. The texture is quite comfortable on the lips and very similar to the signature in the sense of, like, comfortable on lips. You feel like you can move your lips around. It's not gonna dry your lips out or anything like that, but it's just a matter finish. And the last lip product I'm going to talk about, and I don't have the color that I normally wear because it's in my purse and I didn't feel like grabbing it, but I wanted to talk about the e.l.f. Sun Boss Gloss. Now, one of you in my comment section, when I was talking about looking for lip glosses that had SPF and how I was having such a hard time, and the only one that I liked that I could stand was the one from K. And I still stand by that. It's a great clear, if you just want a clear gloss, it's great. But I was like, I really, I wanted something with color, but I couldn't really find anything like that. And one of you said in the comments, and I can't remember who it is, but whoever you are, thank you so much. You were a game changer. Mentioned the Sun Boss glosses from e.l.f. And I was like, those have SPF. Those are SPF. Oh. And so I grabbed It's Your Mauve, which is the one that is in my purse right now. I used that so much that I purchased it at towards the beginning of summer, and by end of August I emptied it. Maybe, no, I won't say end of August, maybe mid-September it was empty. I used it practically every day, if not. And usually, because this is how I roll with lippies, is that I will put on my lippy for the day, like my day lippy, and then I'll eat lunch, and then I'll be like, I just want gloss. And then I'll reach for one of my glosses. So I usually have a lipstick and a gloss in my bag at all times. And that's the gloss that I was often switching from. But it was also the gloss that I wore on the weekends, like every weekend. You know, when I wanted, you know, no makeup, but I want a little gloss, I wanted a little color on my lips, I would reach for that. And it's just... it's beautiful. But I have one shade that I purchased. I bought another shade, and I don't love this shade as much. This is Pink Me Girl. And I'll see if it has any, if I can get color on my hand. This one is a bit too light for my lips in the sense that it's pigmented, but it kind of does that thing. It's really pretty. So that's it. It does this thing because my lips are quite pigmented on their own. It does this thing where it lays over my lips and my pigment shows through, and they just kind of battle each other, which I really don't like with a lot of glosses. It's Your Mom doesn't do that for me, but Pink Me Girl kind of does. So this one has been kind of a bust as far as color goes, but I highly recommend the formulation if you like a gloss, and especially if you want a gloss that has a little bit of SPF in it. It doesn't smell like SPF or taste like SPF. In fact, it smells like smells like coconut, you know, like a lot of SPF products do, but it's not like a overpowering coconut where you're like, ugh, on your lips. No, it's not that at all. I smell it when I'm applying it, and then I don't smell it after that. It's not like I'm smelling my lips for the rest of the day. I'm not. Very comfortable on the lips, has some pigment to it, which I love. I love a opaque gloss, like a, you know, that has a, you know, a little extra pink. I like that. Not everybody likes that. I like that because for me personally, I feel like what's the point, you know, when you're looking at glosses and they're all like different colors, and then the moment you put them on your lips, they're all clear. That to me is a waste of money. So if you're going to give me a gloss that has color, give me some color, give me some pigment. So I say if you don't have the same issue that I have, this is actually a really pretty color. I still think it's really pretty. It's just not for me, but it's your mauve. Chef's kiss. I now have I told you, like I said, I panned the one in September, and then I promptly bought a new one, and now it's sitting in my purse, and I use that pretty much every day. All right, finally wrapping up with two things that I want to talk about that are not makeup related, but are beauty related. And I want to talk about the two fragrances that have been my two faves of the year. And it's two that that have been dark horses for me. I have to say, guys, both of these are things that I was not expecting to love as much as I do, but that's just kind of fun when that happens, you know? So one of them is a Fleur fragrance. Now, I have feelings about Fleur, and I'm gonna go on a little mini rant here about Fleur. I think Fleur releases too much. I think Fleur has become the color pop of the fragrance industry. And I think that for their price point, they release too much. I think if their price point were $30 cheaper, I wouldn't be calling them out. I wouldn't be complaining as much. But I feel like the amount of fragrance and body sprays, body mist that they have released in this year alone has been insane. And it's put me off in a lot of ways. But there's one perfume that I purchased this year that I was smelling on everyone and their mother when I was in New Orleans. Because I was in a house full of content creators. And when you get a bunch of content creators together, there's gonna be a lot of products that overlap, that everyone's gushing about, that we're all tee-heeing about in positive and negative ways. But there was one fragrance that I could not throw a stick without hitting a content creator who was wearing it. And by the end of that trip, I said to myself, Amira, you need that perfume. And that was Fleur Mood Ring. And I got the mini because I refuse to buy a full size of Fleur fragrances. I just refuse. It's something my body just can't, like, my body won't let me. I can't do it. I can't. So I purchased Floor Mood Ring, and I wore it all summer long with, I mean, I wore other things. I don't wear the same fragrance every day, but I was bouncing between Mood Ring and a couple other things. Like it was getting mad play, heavy play. And then a couple of weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, not quite a month, maybe a couple of weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago, I reached for it and there was only a little bit left. And I said, oh no. And I sprayed myself and I said, oh, and it was gone. And then the Sephora sale came up and I said, I'll buy another one. And that's this one here. I repurchased this. I panned one in less than 6 months, less than 4 months. And then I bought another one. Now, would it be more economical for me to have just bought the full size? Sure, maybe. Like I said, I refuse. So I'm happy with this. I will probably continue to, if I like a floor fragrance, if I'm intrigued by floor fragrance, I will continue to buy the travel size. Thank you so much for making the travel size floor. But I just will not spend $100 on a floor fragrance. I'm sorry. But this is still one of my favorite fragrances of the year. Yeah. Next up is something very different. It is a fragrance mist. I have rediscovered my love of body mist. I think we all have, because you can't throw a stick without hitting a body mist right now. But what I have discovered, or rediscovered, is my love for affordable body mists. I have a very expensive body mist sitting in my table with all the other body mists that I own, and I like it. But I still feel really salty about the fact that I spent $45 on body mist when I have this one that I spent $6 on sale at Bath & Body Works. Bath & Body Works Fine Fragrance Mist in If You Musk. Do you see how much of this I've used? I just purchased a backup. This is this has been my go-to reach for. In the summer, when I'm not going to work, you know, like on the weekends, or if I have a day off and I'm running errands, I don't actually reach for traditional perfumes. I tend to reach for body mists, especially in the summer, because heat can make fragrance quite strong, and you know, a body mist is like just enough for me, because it's, you know, if I'm out for a few hours, it only lasts a few hours anyway. But I've found myself reaching for this even past that time, and I still use these, you know, on the weekend when I go and run errands, or I'm going out to lunch, or I'm running to get, you know, tea. And if I'm, you know, whatever I'm doing, I just grab a mist. But what I've been doing is I'll grab a mist. And I purchased other mists. When I purchased this one, I purchased a bunch of mists, and they're great. And I'm going to do a video on all of them because I think they're worth talking about. I like those, but I love this one. And I just, oh, it smells so good. Excuse me. Yeah, If You Musk. If you were wondering, like, if you're like thinking of dipping your toe into some of the Bath & Body Works fine fragrance mists, this like particular line, if you like a musky scent, and it has notes of iris, pink pepper, and airy musk. It's just so nice. If you like a good musk, but you like a musk that's not too heavy, that is, like, this can work. It worked in the summer and high humidity. It wasn't too much. You know, musk can be quite strong in heat, you know. This was not that, and I think because it's a body mist, it helps. But it's just a light and airy musk scent. And I get so many compliments when I wear this. Be like, oh, you smell really good. I'm like, thank you. Thank you. Yes, I do. All right, guys, that is everything. I have sat here for an hour. Actually longer. Yeah, that's everything. This was a very long video. Let me know in the comments down below. Did I talk about a product that you love? Did I talk about a product that you hated? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed today's video, guys, please be sure to hit the like button, and I will see you in the next one. Bye now.